September the 22nd, this Committee on Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin,
Here.
McCormack, Bishop,
Here.
Gadwell, Harrison, Casey,
Present.
Valencia,
Present.
Santana, Spencer. Mr. Chairman, you have a report.
Thank you. I'll start out, if I could, with our guests that we have. I believe we have a couple of guests from the courts. Is Ms. Kenny? All right, first one is ordinance number 1081-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Cleveland Municipal Court to apply for and accept a grant from the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Service Board of Cuyahoga County to expand access and evidence-based supervision and treatment services for defendants of the 4 specialized dockets, and authorizing the director to enter into one or more contracts with various agencies, entities, or individuals to implement the grant. Chief McKinney?
Good afternoon, Chairman Griffin. I am Michelle Kinney. I am the Finance Director for Cleveland Municipal Court. Our Judge Early was not able to make it today, so I'll be representing the court on behalf of these 2 pieces that we have coming forth. This piece for the specialized docket, we're receiving $230,000 to help constituents that come through the court for the 4 specialized dockets that we have. We have been receiving this funding for over 10 years coming through the court, so it helps the constituents get assistance that they may need while they're getting treatment or help from our human trafficking, drug court, veterans court, and also mental health court. So some of the treatment that they receive comes from help with their rent, if they need assistance with that, help with their utilities, their cell phone, transportation, or things that they need in order to stay in the treatment that they do receive.
Okay, thank you. This is pretty routine, so this is just drug court. Is it veterans court and all those other ones as well?
Yes, it's human trafficking court, veterans court, mental health, and also drug court.
Okay. So you use, what percentage of your general fund is this?
No percentage of general fund. All of this is grant funded, and there is no match required.
Okay, so no match required, and it's all grant funded?
Yes.
And it's only $80,000?
$230,000.
$230,000?
Yes.
Okay.
And we get this on an annual basis.
Okay.
And they actually went up this year for the allocation. Normally, we get between 180, 200,000 was last year, and this year is, for next year's service, is 230,000, which starts July 1st.
Well, outstanding. Drug court is a very good tool, and we know that we have a lot of constituents and a lot of family members that are dealing with addiction, so definitely well needed. I'm always sticker shock at how little we get for these programs, and you guys are running them so nimble, so kudos to all of you guys.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else want to comment on ordinance number 1081-2025?
Sure.
Councilman Mike Valencia.
It's an outstanding program, and I support the legislation.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1081-2025 stands approved. Please sign on it. Thank you. All right, next one is 1080-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Cleveland Municipal Court to apply for and accept a grant from the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County to expand access to evidence-based supervision and treatment services for defendants of the Greater Cleveland Drug Court and the Human Trafficking Special Document. Ms. Kinney.
Good afternoon again. Now, this funding also comes from ATP. We also get this on an annual basis. So this would be our ATP admin fund used towards drug court and human trafficking court. So this money does not expire, so they give us an opportunity to use it until we need to use it. And some of the things that has been used for this funding over the past years under drug court, Judge Lauren Moore, who used to be with our court, she was able to provide a book for the constituents that graduated from drug court. They were able to write a story about themselves and their experience. And this funding provided the book to be printed and given out to those individuals that came through the drug court. So this funding can be used for anything that we may need for those constituents to help throughout the drug court.
Outstanding. Once again, this is a great program, and this is mainly for administration, but it's only $17,000. What do you do with $17,000?
Little things like that, because it's not restricted for services, it's restricted for things that we can do, such as have a book authored, yoga on the beach that we do on an annual basis for the constituents, host a graduation for those that come through the drug court. So it's just a little bit of money, but we can use it at our leisure, and it's not restricted for services such as treatment services and things like that. So, and it does not expire, and we do use those funding for little things like that that aren't required as the other $230,000 that we do receive. It's all grant. We do not have to match any funding from that, so it does not touch the general fund.
Thank you. Seeing any questions, anybody have any questions regarding 1080-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1080-2025 stands approved. Thank you so much. We'll hear the rest this evening. Thank you. All right, we do have a guest for community development, and if community development could let me know all the pieces that they have, but we'll start out with ordinance number 1170-2025 by council members Hairston and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Community Development to enter into a loan agreement with Gateway 66 Limited Partnership or its designee to partially finance and develop the development of affordable residential housing units in Ward 7 and for other associated costs necessary to redevelop the properties. Director and your guests.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Council President. I have Sheila Wright here with me, and Angela Bennett as well, here to speak to their project and answer any questions that Council may have for them. And I will hand it over.
And just so I can make sure we clarify for the council, pretty much all this is doing is you're reclassifying for some of these units to be affordable, if I understand correctly, in order for you to be able to clear the financing that you're getting. But I'll let you guys explain it better if you could. So, Ms. Wright, please, you got the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Reverend Representatives, especially the large committee. My name is Sheila White. I'm with Frontline Development Group. This is my partner, Angela Bennett. And so this is a project that has come before council previously, Gateway 66. When we initially applied for dollars for this project, we applied for different buckets, one of them which was market rate units. And this is similar to our Gordon Crossing project that has come before this committee as well, in that it is mixed income, so it ranges from 80% to 30%. And so as we continue to work the numbers, it was always our understanding, based on the neighborhood, based on HUD definitions, that 80% in that area would constitute market rate, but we needed some more clarity with respect to law, because there was no operating definition for market rate, if you will. And so this came back before you so that there would be clarity and less of an issue as law, supports this and we move forward in our financing. It's a $27 million project. It's 80 units. It's at the corner of East 66 and Linwood, which is right down the street from the investment of the Cleveland Foundation and the Midtown Collaboration Center. We do have some images, but we may not need, again, it has come before you, so I don't know if you need that, but Angela, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Angela Bennett, also with Frontline Development. Thank you for having us here today. I also just wanted to provide some additional details on the number of units that we're asking for the redesignation. It's 4 out of the 80 units that we have. We're asking to be redesignated to 80% of AMI. And so just for this council's information, when you're looking at income limits for 80% of AMI, and that's pretty broad, so we talk about market rate, it's not, much different. So under HUD 2025 guidelines, a household of 1 at 80% of AMI, they can't earn more than $55,650. A household of 2, $63,600. A household of 3, $71,550, and a household of 4, $79,500. And so those are pretty, generous, high, income limit, so it doesn't, so when we say, changing those 4 units to affordable, it means affordability so that we can, increase the number 80%. And so I just wanted to clarify that because Cleveland's median household income is about $39,000 a year. So moving those 4 units to 80% still, right, is a pretty sizable difference in ensuring that, folks that, earn decent income are still able to, reside at Gateway.
Okay. All right, Councilman Hairston, you relieved this from DPS. Did you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, leading DPS, to be heard today by this committee and tonight for the council. They are under a time constraint as well. They need to keep moving. You know how important how important this project is, not only to that particular neighborhood, but for Cleveland, and what this means for the group who's sitting before us today with this project. Please, and cross the finish line. So happy to support your leaders from DPS. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding 1170-2025? Councilman McCormick and then Councilman Case.
Very briefly, Chair, I just want to begin support this ordinance. This is a great project, a great team, a development team here in front of us. And this is an example of the city. We need to do whatever we can to encourage investment, especially in neighborhoods who have not seen it. And so investment, small, big, large, affordable, market rate, period. We need to do what we can to support investment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other, Councilman Brian Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, our presenters, can you just tell us what affordable is going to be, what the rent variables will be from lowest to highest?
Yes. So for a 2-bedroom at 80% of AMI, it's $1,200, $1,235. If you're at 60% of AMI, you're at $1,125. If you're at 50%, it's $945, and those are for 2-bedroom units. So you see where even at 80% and you hear these income limits, it's still, affordable, 30% of the household. If you're looking at 1-bedroom units, at 80% of AMI, it's $1,065. At 60% of AMI, it's $965. And at 50%, it's $815.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions regarding 1170-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1170-2025 will be heard by the full council for consideration this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I have written by those apartments, and you're going to be part of the new Ward 6, so it's looking good over there. So
Let's just stop by. We just did a partnership with Job Corps, so we have Cleveland Job Corps kids that are on our project currently, and they will stay on the remainder, and they will all really be teed up for the Gateway.
absolutely, it's Councilwoman House Jones' ward right now. But if we could we add Councilwoman House Jones' name to this piece of legislation, even though I know that she was really involved in making this happen as well. The other thing is the young men that you have as your construction management
Project interns and Donald.
run into them quite often at D. Myers Supermarket, and they love it. They absolutely speak. I seen them about 2 weeks ago, and they rave about just the work that they're doing all the time. So thank you for giving those 2 young gentlemen an opportunity. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you to the committee. Thank you, Director Hernandez.
Director Hernandez, you usually get the last draw. You don't have anything else? I'm gonna get you off the table. You good? You got anything else? Okay. This is the one day that you go first. All right, I got you. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go to public health. Public health. This is ordinance number 972-2025 by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Health to enter into one or more agreements with the Ohio Department of Health to reimburse the City of Cleveland for monitoring, collecting, and analyzing radiation levels in the vicinity of Burke Lakefront Airport for a period of 2 years. Director?
Thank
you. To my right is Commissioner David Hearn for the Division of Air Quality, who can give a brief summary of the legislation. What we got?
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be here today to discuss this legislation with you. This grant provides us with the opportunity to collect samples on a weekly basis, and the samples are then sent to the Ohio Department of Health laboratory for analysis. And this is looking at radiation from our 2 nuclear power plants. So to make sure that we're keeping an eye on this and that's not going to cause us any problems.
Thank you.
If I can, one more thing. The estimated amount of this grant over a 2-year period is a little more than $31,000.
Director, anything else to add? Councilman Conwell, this was heard in Health and Human Services. Did you have any comments?
This was to bring you back to the chair. You have it, Director? Let me see it.
While you're looking that over, do you mind if I go to one of the colleagues for a line question?
Yes.
All right, Councilman Michael Velez.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is this, since you're monitoring, and I'm trying to get a better understanding, you're monitoring the air quality, or explain it to not only us, but to the viewing public. What are you testing?
We are monitoring air quality, and these are filter monitors, and they take an air sample over a week-long period.
Right.
And there's 2 elements to the filter. One is a paper filter, and the other is a charcoal filter. And then those are both, the sample media are both collected and sent to the ODH laboratory in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and they are analyzed there. The data are then processed by the Department of Health.
Have they ever been elevated, Mr. Chairman?
Not as long as I've been here. They've not been elevated.
Okay. So then the last question I have is you're physically at Burke Airport, the measuring device.
Correct.
Okay. Why wouldn't there be measuring devices at each edge of the city rather than in the downtown? Because Perry's to the east, Davis-Besse is to the west. Why wouldn't they be on the edge of the city?
Perhaps I misunderstood you.
Okay.
This is at Burke Lakefront Airport, so right in the middle. That was the area that the Department of Health wanted the samples.
So you think you're being downtown versus the edge, you're still getting an accurate reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Through
Chairman.
the chair to the council.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions regarding, Councilman Conwell, did you want any other questions regarding 972-2025?
Okay, I just needed to see the summary, CP,
Okay.
and I'm cool beans with the rest of the stuff.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for 972-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 972-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you so much. And Director, thank you for taking care of that situation I called you about. Thank you. Appreciate it. Public utilities. First is ordinance number 491-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more requirement contracts for landscape materials, equipment, supplies, and services needed for testing, maintaining, installing, repairing, and replacing landscaping at city-owned or leased Department of Public Utilities facilities and city rights-of-way for the divisions of Water Pollution Control, and Cleveland Public Power, and Office of Radio Communications, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. So this ordinance allows us to go out to bid for landscaping services. As council's well aware, we have a number of facilities throughout our service area. The upkeep of those facilities is a direct reflection of how we treat our customers' assets, so we take it very seriously. We break this into usually 4 categories, 2 large, 2 small, by geographical area to try to get a diverse vendor pool. We budget $1 million a year. And as I said, we would be going out to bid for these services.
Director, we used to, and this is one of the things that I really hope our staff really looks into. We used to get the goals, the MBE, FBE, and CSB participation goals. With landscaping, I'm sure we got some goals, because there's several corporations and companies that do that. Could you tell us if we have those? Because I haven't seen them in the executive summary. We used to get that in the executive summary.
So the Chairman, on the 3rd page of the executive summary where it has the goals of 20%, commitments made by the vendor, each of these 4 current contracts made a good faith effort determined by OEO, but there is no, they're all sort of smaller outfits, so there's no subs. So they can't subcontract to a CSB FBE, but they made commitments to satisfy OEO and got that good faith effort. But they don't, so we hire, by example, whatever, Zscape. They don't have a subcontractor to come in and do the tree trimming. They do all of it. And by their bid, they have to be able to do all of it. So what OEO evaluates is whether they made a good faith effort in the CSB participation goals, and they did get that. So we always ask for it. It's often, the good faith effort is the best that it's deemed by OEO because it doesn't lend itself to subs.
I'm not going to try to figure this out at the table today, but I would like to talk with OEO about this, because it has to be a way to do this, because there are several hundreds of landscaping businesses, from African American to female to Hispanic, and just because of some clause, I don't want to just say good faith effort, because sometimes people's good faith effort is, oh, my wife applied for it instead of me. And I want to make sure that that's not what we're doing.
And some of these are female-owned and minority-owned businesses, but I'm happy to.
I'm okay. I just want to make sure that we give an opportunity.
For sure.
Because we always, with everything we do, that's the reason why this committee has DEI to it. I know the world is trying to move away from it, but it's important to make sure that we have that kind of representation.
We agree.
All right, Councilman Brian Casey.
This is duly vetted utilities, and we recommended it for passage.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 491-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Ordinance number 533-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of petroleum-based fuels for various types of backup generators, including regular and emergency deliveries, purchases, rentals, maintenance, and miscellaneous supporting services for the various divisions of the Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. At the Department of Public Utilities, we have a variety of backup equipment at our facilities, including turbine generators, diesel, electric generators, diesel drives for water pumps, propane electric generators. All of this requires either diesel or propane fuel. We are asking for authority to go out to bid to have these services continue, both on a regular basis and during emergency situations, estimated to cost $2 million over the 2 years of the proposed contract. The OEO did not determine goals because this is actually a contract for the purchase of the fuel, so there would not be any goals associated with this contract.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Brian Casey.
Duly vetted and recommended for passage out of utilities.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 533-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 533-2025 stands approved. Next up is ordinance number 822-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more contracts with OW Investors, LLC, DBA, Mars Company for the professional services necessary to provide software and hardware maintenance for the testing, maintaining, and upgrading of water meters for residential and commercial use, including acquiring licenses, integrating and installing system upgrades, hardware upgrades, and hardware software maintenance and related equipment, labor and materials for the Division of Water, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 3 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Mars Company is a longtime provider of this proprietary equipment for testing our residential and commercial water meters. As council is well aware, the accuracy of these meters is the backbone of what we do, and getting the customer's satisfaction as to that accuracy is what MARS specializes in with the MCC. The maintenance calibration certification as approved by the American Water Works Association, and along with the M3 Enterprise Software program, we are budgeting to replace certain equipment at Meter Ops, the bench test system for our water meters, which is why you'll see in the executive summary year one about a $300,000 increase. That is to replace the equipment that is aging or beyond its useful life. And then the regular maintenance of those two other programs with MARS, a proprietary system that we're seeking to continue the relationship with.
Thank you. Councilman Casey. Duly vetted and recommended.
For passage out of utilities.
Thank you so much. Any other questions regarding 822-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 822-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 823-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of disposal of debris at landfill, transfer stations, or recycle reclaim facility sites for the divisions of water, Cleveland Public Power, and Water Pollution Control, Department of Public Utilities for a term of 2 years with a 1-year option to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Utilities. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. All three divisions do dig holes a lot, and that results in spoils and residuals and debris, which need to be taken somewhere properly under regulations established by the OEPA. We do go out to bid on every 2 years. The current contract expires early next year. We do budget per division about $1.4 million for the 2-year term. Either we're allowed, we do require that we're allowed to deliver the debris ourselves, our workers, but also we have 40-yard dumpsters at various locations that we will fill with the debris, and they will come and get it with 48 hours notice. So it is some strictures put on the contract, but we're looking to go out to bid to continue this relationship.
Thank you. Councilman Casey.
Duly vetted and recommended for passage.
All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 823-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 824-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of various types of fencing, gate operators, gates, vertical pivot lift gates, barriers, walls, and guardrails, including associated appurtenances and labor and materials necessary to repair or maintain existing equipment, facilities for the various divisions of the Department of Public Utilities for a period of up to 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. As many fences as we have at the Department of Public Utilities, we have as many gates. Those gates are operated very regularly in a 24/7 operation. They break often. We go out to seek vendors who will come in on very short notice to fix our gates and fences and the other lifts and pivot gates and things to that effect.
Outstanding. Councilman Casey.
Duly vetted and recommended for passage out of utilities.
All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 824-2025 stands approved. Next up is ordinance number 825-2025 by council members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary to maintain, test, inspect, repair, enhance, or replace and install HVAC systems and component parts, including heating, boilers, ventilation and air conditioning systems, environmental controls, software, and components, including rentals, if necessary, for the divisions of water, water pollution control, and Cleveland Public Power, and Office of Radio Communications, Department of Public Utilities for a period of up to 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Similar to the last piece, we do have a number of facilities that all have their unique HVAC needs, and when it breaks, it is expensive. However, we do need to respond in a timely manner in order to continue to provide that high level of service that we hope to provide every day. Budget $2 million per year for this 2-year contract, and the current contract expires later this year.
Thank you. Councilman Casey.
Duly vetted and recommended for passage from utilities.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 825-2025 stands approved. Next up, last but not least, is ordinance number 826-2025 by Councilmembers Casey and Griffin, by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary to test, maintain, and repair backup electrical gear, diesel drives for pumps, petroleum-based fuel equipment, and computer backup systems for the various divisions of the Department of Public Utilities for a term of 2 years. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. The fuel that you're giving us permission to buy in the earlier ordinance would be put into these machines that need to be tested regularly and maintained. And this also includes the underground storage of those fuels that also require testing and compliance and replacement if necessary. A 2-year contract, and we're anticipating approximately $1 million over its life.
Thank you. Councilman Casey.
Recommended for passage.
All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 826-2025 stands approved. I see that you have Commissioner Margaveshis here. Is any reason that he is?
My muscle.
Oh, he's the muscle with the hustle. Okay, I'll let the muscle stay. Great event last week. Just wanted to commend you guys. All the years I've been living in that area, I really never have been through Baldwin, and it was really a heck of an experience, so appreciate it.
100 years. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Alex gave a lot of history, too. He's a historian.
He's great.
All right, moving to port control. At port control, join us at the table. We got a familiar face. Can't get enough of this.
Superstar.
I know. Welcome back, Director Williams and Mr. Francis. How's everybody?
Doing well.
All right, great. Ordinance number 951-2025 by Council Members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with Cummins, Inc. for the purchase of proprietary replacement parts for heavy-duty construction equipment and labor and materials to repair and maintain the proprietary equipment for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. Several of the items that Port Control has before you today are related to our vehicle and equipment, our renewal and maintenance program, and those will be presented by Assistant Director of Airport Operations and Public Safety, Mr. Frank Williams. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you to the Chair and to the council members. This legislation will ensure that the required machines, equipment, supplies, parts, materials, labor, and services are available to make repairs, maintain, upfit, replace, and enhance equipment for the Department of Port Control. Ensuring these machines and equipment are kept in good working condition will indeed aid the workforce at DPC in fulfilling jobs more efficiently, which enables DPC to meet operational needs and also FAA requirements. This is a contract that's approximately $60,000 annually, and it leans toward the heavy equipment and diesel engines that Cummins makes that are in a good portion of our pieces for snow and ice control.
Councilman Kerry McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This piece was thoroughly vetted by the committee and unanimously approved.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 951-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 952-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with Murphy Tractor and Equipment Company, Inc. for the purchase of proprietary replacement parts for heavy-duty construction equipment and labor and materials to repair and maintain the proprietary equipment for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Williams will be presenting this item as well.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman, and to the members of the council. This legislation, again, like the last one, is directed at snow and ice control for equipment that is used to clear ramps. Murphy Tractor and Equipment supplies those items for our 744 wheel loaders for snow plowing and also loading of chemicals and materials. This contract is approximately $30,000 annually, and it helps to support all of our activities within the vehicle maintenance area.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick?
Mr. Chairman, this piece was heard by the committee and unanimously supported.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 952-2025 stands approved. Next up is ordinance number 953-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with Ohio Machinery Company, DBA Ohio CAT, for the purchase of proprietary replacement parts for heavy-duty construction equipment and labor and materials to repair and maintain the proprietary equipment for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year, with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Williams will be presenting this item as well.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. To the chair, this legislation will ensure that the required machines, equipment, supplies, training, parts, materials, labor, and services are available to make repairs, maintain, upfit, replace, and enhance equipment for the Department of Port Control. Again, this is for heavy equipment, snow removal equipment, and some also for resetting and re-upfitting pieces of equipment. This contract is approximately $60,000 annually as well.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 953 was reviewed and supported by the committee unanimously.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 953-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 954-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of repairing or replacing roofs and authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more public improvement requirement contracts for the making of the improvement for a 1-year period with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this item will once again be presented by Assistant Director Williams. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, to the chair, excuse me, the Department of Port Control is required to maintain, inspect, repair, or replace over 1.5 million square feet of various roofs and roof systems. With an aging roofing system that is challenged by the hot summers, high winds, and very cold winters, it is imperative to have a roofing contract in place. The scope of work is to provide materials, supplies, equipment, and labor to maintain, inspect, repair, enhance, and replace roofs and roof systems at Cleveland Hopkins International and Burke Lakefront Airport. Many of the buildings on an airport property are quite aged and have deteriorated roof systems. It is important to be proactive in renovating as required to avoid enhanced damage and potential liability issues. The scope of work is beyond the capabilities of the in-house maintenance staff, and typically we look at the approximate cost to be $400,000 annually.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, this piece was reviewed and unanimously approved by the committee.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 954-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 965-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with Big Play LLC for the lease of space located at 1501 North Marginal Road for the use of occupancy of space located in the terminal building of Burke Lakefront Airport for the operation of its podcast studio for a period of 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, this is an existing tenant at Burke Lakefront. They are looking to increase their lease space by a small amount, adding an office to support their podcast studio business. It is an amount in terms of their rent that will be adjusted annually by CPI, but it will never go lower than the initial level. The current lease began in 2023 for their other space, and they lease about 2,400 square feet of space today in the terminal. They are in good standing, and we ask for your approval.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee supported this. Questions around where the lease was, what they do, as well as rent. This is an internal office in the airport. We learned that if you got a lake view, you pay more. If you don't, we learned all about it, Mr. Chairman, but at the end of the day, this was supported by the committee.
Outstanding. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 965-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next up is ordinance number 966-2025 by council members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase and/or rental by one or more requirement contracts of heavy-duty equipment, snow removal equipment, large capacity trucks, other equipment with operators, and any necessary labor, materials, or equipment needed for snow and ice removal and/or maintenance for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year. We have 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this final item for Port Control today will also be presented by Assistant Director Williams. Thank you.
Assistant Director Williams.
To the chair, to the members of council, the department, in accordance with FAA requirements and the approved airport snow and ice control plan, is required to staff during the snow season our snow removal vehicle operation with a minimal number of staff based on the snow code and forecast. The department has utilized a supplemental services contract to support the DPC workforce and equipment to employ temporary and seasonal drivers to backfill staff vacancies and absenteeism, ensuring safety and compliance within the FAA Part 139 regulatory requirements. The scope of work includes the contract provides for staff augmentation, equipment and materials for snow and ice removal services. These services would include but not be limited to snow and ice removal for landside, airside, and other various locations for DPC. The contract will maintain city compliance with the FAA Part 139 regulatory requirements to ensure that we are staffed properly for winter operations around the clock.
So just one question. Why don't we just hire enough workforce? Why do we need to have, why do we have to sub work out? Why don't we have enough that we just hire?
To the chair, this is a supplemental contract. This only goes into effect when we need it. So if we have enormous amounts of vacancies, equipment down, and things of that sort, we're able to keep the airport open based on the 139 regulations for those minimum staffing. So we don't look to use this. We just use it to supplement our existing staffing.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it's good to understand that. I just, have we ever had to pull the trigger to use that?
Yes.
And let's say if it's a COVID outbreak or a flu outbreak, then you have a way to be able to go out and make sure that you have mandatory staff to be able to do this. Okay. All right, Councilman McCormick.
Mr. Chairman, this was again reviewed by the committee and supported.
Thank you. Just one other question. They all meet federal FAA guidelines, like all of the people that are vetted, so, because these would be third-party companies, so we're to have all kinds of background and everything else issues?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. They would, anyone that is working on the airport would need to go through the badging process and pass the background checks that are required through the federal government.
Okay, sounds good. All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 966-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you much. And Director, just on a side note, I would just as a miscellaneous. Once again, I don't believe in trying to use finance to really do a deep dive on this, and I know that Councilman McCormick is on the runway headed to paradise, I guess. But, you know, the next chair will probably be Charlie Slife, Councilman Charles Slife. And at some point in time, I think it would be imperative for us to try to understand the conversation about safety out in Brook Park. I know that there's people that's able to go to the state and get whatever they want to get out of the state, but I kind of believe that you had a very valid point. And I think at some point in time, this council deserves to understand whatever concerns safety-wise that there may be, because I tend to believe that you are more right So I just want to say that for the record. I know that there's a whole bunch of other opinions, but I think that there's a lot of unknowns there around safety that we're not really digging into. And at some point in time, I think that it'd be imperative for this body to really try to pull in Port Control and have a real intimate conversation about the concerns from everything from highway congestion and our customers getting into the airport to safety reasons and everything else. So I look forward to talking with the next chair about how we can frame that. Okay? Thank you. Councilman Michael Polinsky.
Thank you.
Hold up, we got one more miscellaneous. Yeah.
Thank you. Director, and it's always good to see Frank Williams at the table again. Director, when did you become director?
May of 2020. Through the chair. The
So,
councilperson, yes.
roughly 2 years ago. Prior to your placement, your appointment, are you aware if anyone from the Port Authority, i.e. Hopkins International, ever looked at the 170 acres being proposed for the stadium site by the Browns at present for acquisition by the airport?
Through the chair, not directly, though I do know that during the master plan process in the 2020 period, there was consideration of how that land could be utilized for airport purposes, if in fact it were purchased.
Okay.
Yes.
I went out there a week and a half ago and drove around the site. And the thing that I think struck me the greatest, and again, I'm not familiar with that area, so I went out there, I just took my time driving around, was when you look at it, then you go look at an aerial, and you realize its proximity to the airport. It's like, I kept thinking to myself, where was the vision in the past when the plant came down? Why wasn't there any, you just alluded to it, real effort to secure that site, in fact, in light of the fact that we are landlocked at Hopkins, and this is right next door. It hits you when you go out there, and I kept saying to myself, how did we miss this one? How did we collectively, the people who do the planning, who do the long-range planning for the airport, how in the heck did we miss this one? To me, it's inconceivable. Right there, right next to the airport, 170 acres, and then somehow our friend, and that's being polite, outside of our window here, decided to snatch the property, and then we all know what we're dealing with at this point. So I just, for the life of me, when I was out there, just couldn't figure that one out. But so at the end of the day, sometimes maybe we need to have someone, we need to retain people who have a far greater vision than the people that we had internally, because obviously somebody really missed the boat here on this one. I can tell you that right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, and I concur. I know that Councilman Polinsky and I talked, and it was one of the reasons why a lot of people, I hate to say it, but the city needs to probably be better speculators, because it would have been just a matter of time before somebody picked up that property, and they did, and that's what we're faced with right now. So at some point in time, I think that's a broader discussion, not only with the Port Control, but with our real estate folks, because that's what we put sites funds and other things in place for, in order to get those large parcels in our hands so that we can attract businesses and deal and prevent some of what we're seeing now, because what we're seeing now is an egregious overreach by the state government. And once again, I know that you have your lane to run, but we have ours too. So, okay? All right, thank you. Appreciate it. And I did say I happen to think you were right, so. All right, thank you. And good to see you, Mr. Williams. All right. Okay. Next up is ordinance number 673-2025 as amended. And I believe the amendments are on your tablets, so I am not going to read all of the amendments, but there are amendments. Actually, I will. It's only a few. Let me read them because it's always better to read the amendments into the record. It says, well, first of all, let me read it first. 673-2025 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $4 million for the purpose of providing funds to acquire vehicles and equipment for performing functions of the city's departments, including the Department of Public Works and Department of Public Safety, and authorizing related matters. And there are some amendments. The amendments are, there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in the title, line 3, in the first whereas clause, line 2, and in section 1, line 2, strike $4 million and insert $3 million in all 3 places. Number 2, in the second whereas clause, line 5, strike 673-2025-A and insert 673-2025-B. Number 3, in section 2, second paragraph, line 6, strike 6% and insert 6.5%. And in line 9, strike December 1, 2025, and insert June 1, 2026. And in the third paragraph, line 6, strike 2027, and insert 2028. Number 4, in section 2, at A, mandatory sinking fund redemption, second paragraph, line 2, strike the Huntington National Bank and insert Argent Institutional Trust Company as successor to the Huntington National Bank. Number 5, in section 9, line 3, strike $4 million and insert $3 million. In A, line 2, strike 5% and insert 6%. And in C, line 8, strike 10 in quotations and insert 9A in quotations. This is dated 9/9/2025 by Deborah Rossman, Assistant Director of Law. Director, and before I go any further, I want to commend Ms. Saban and also our Chair of Public Works, Councilman Kevin Bishop. A tremendous amount of time has gone into trying to review these bonds. This is the new way of the world that the director is really working with us on, so I asked everybody about 2 weeks ago to really roll up your sleeves and understand all of what the moving parts are. So I just want to commend Councilman Bishop as well as Ms. Saban, our policy staffer, for really rolling up their sleeves, and all of our staff that rolled up their sleeves to really make sure that they gave us a proposal that was clean as possible to come to the table. There's still a couple of things that even up until Friday we are still trying to work through, but I believe that they really did a great job, along with the director, who I'd like to commend, and both directors, for really bringing us forth a product that I think that'll work for all of us. So, Director, you have the floor.
Through the chair of the committee, so this is obviously reflecting changes that we hope to make to the debt program and not, align our needs more, or align the borrowing more with our needs. So normally, the reason for the amendments and the lower amounts, normally the CIP that we presented to you in April, we would go out, we would borrow the full amount, which was about the capital improvement plan, which is all the projects for the city for the year. Yep. So normally we would go out and we would just borrow for the full CIP amount, and then MOCAP would go ahead and spend down. This year, working with MOCAP, we're aligning the need with what, the borrowing with what we actually need by the end of the year. So we're able to whittle this list down from 76 million down to 36,044,000. So that's what we're asking for the authority to borrow, plus an amount for cost of issuance for a total of 40 million. That's all 5 pieces together, all the borrowing, and they're all going to have similar arguments. So the list in front of you is also an attempt for increased transparency. So the list in front of you is the CIP that was presented in April, that was cleared by bond counsel. The highlighted items are the items that we're borrowing for now, or we're requesting the authorization to borrow for now. And the non-highlighted items, I just want to be clear, those projects will be done. They are on the CIP, but we will not have, working with MOCAP, we do not believe that we will have executed contracts by the end of the year. So that being the case, we didn't want to go out and borrow $76 million. We didn't have to. So we're just borrowing, or requesting the authorization to borrow just what we need to execute contracts for this year. Now, the rest of the projects will be rolled into a CIP that we will bring to council in January, and we will fully review that and work with council, and it will be a similar process in terms of the back and forth and on the projects and which projects will actually be included. Director DeRosa can speak a little bit more of the process if there's questions. So that's the gist of this. The amendments in particular, obviously the amounts, the original amounts on the ordinances were what we were going to borrow if we followed the normal procedure. The amended amounts are the lower amounts. There are a few changes to interest rates, so we've seen an uptick in the longer end of the yield curve, and we were concerned that, we've had low interest rates for a long time. We're concerned if we didn't raise the language for the interest rate maximum, we may not have enough room to maneuver in the market, so we wanted to make sure that we were able to go to market by giving ourselves a little bit more room with the interest rate. And then the change in the name, so item number 4, Argent actually purchased this arm of Huntington Bank, so that's the reason for the name change in the legislation. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Sure, I just want to make sure that, just to clarify, one of the risks, and I want to make this clear with everybody, is that originally they wanted to try to do 75 for 2 years, and to try to get 75 million that would have covered next year's capital projects as well. And one of the reasons that we had some concerns about it was because, we didn't want to, the reason that they wanted to do it, and let me just get to the risk first, is because, we don't want to have a delay. And we don't want to come into January and then for whatever reason, then there's another delay for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then these projects don't get up and running, and then this same council will be complaining to the director saying, hey, where's the project at, what are we doing? So originally the director was trying to offer that kind of flexibility, but we thought it was best to try to focus on this. Keep in mind, we'll also have a new council that comes in, and we all know how we all were the first month that we walked in, even though some of us came in with requisite experience. It takes a minute to find out where the bathroom is at. So that's why I said Councilman Bishop did a very good due diligence job with Ms. Saban in order to try to comb through this and give us a path forward that we feel comfortable with, and just wanted to make sure that you guys understood a lot of work went into this, okay? And I do want to commend the administration because they're trying to do something new where they spend cash first, that we have cash available. Second, they want to offer to get short-term notes. And then third, to try to use bond money. So then that way it can save money and it can make us more efficient in how we get projects out the door. So it's a new way of doing business, and that's why I've been really trying to ask everybody to roll up their sleeves and try to understand this, because this is not how we usually do it, where we get a 3-year capital CIP, and then move money around just to make sure that we fit the plan. He's trying to make sure that we use the money that we have on hand. I may not be saying it as smooth as the director is saying it, but that's the gist of what we were trying to do, and this is where we ended up at. And before I go into any questioning with Director DeRosa, Chairman Bishop, did you want to expound upon this anymore? Because I know you've been the closest to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have been vetting this for the last couple of months, and we're excited about this new way of borrowing money as far as our bonds go. We hope these savings that we'll incur in the future, we put to good use where we can actually get more projects done year over year. Mr. Chairman, we fully support this process. Thank you.
Thank you. And all of us, when the director came a few months ago and did a presentation, thought about it and said, this does make sense. So just want to make sure everybody know that now we're into implementation. I know it's always one thing to get educated, but then when the rubber hits the road, everybody said, whoa, wait a minute, is everything moving? So this is this plan in action, okay? The one question that I have before I kick it to my colleagues, so far I have McCormick and Councilwoman Santana and Polisic. But the one thing that I have is interest rates just got cut by the feds. So why would we raise that? And is that going to create an issue where we get more interest, which we know in the past when we've gained more interest, it actually cost us because then we actually had to pay like a $10,000 penalty. So are we basically putting ourselves in a situation where interest rates just got cut and we may actually have a larger amount of interest that we gain off of this money because of what we're legislating versus what the interest rates really are?
Yeah, so through the chair, so when we did our analysis, we saw that, you know, the long-term rates were ticking up potentially above 5%, so getting higher. Now, keep in mind that the Fed does not cut all interest rates across the yield curve. They only control the short-term rate. So the Fed funds rate is the rate in which banks lend to each other overnight, and that tends to filter down to the longer end of the curve. But just because they cut the short-term rate, the long-term rate can still fluctuate. So being at levels where it's at now, we still feel like we need that room because we don't know what the long-term rates are going to do, even though the short-term rates have been cut.
All right, thanks for that explanation. Councilman McCormick, then Councilwoman Santana.
Thank you, Chair, and appreciate everyone that did a lot of hard work on this. And I submitted this through our staff, so I did my part about being a part of the process as well, so I'm not just asking at the table. Chairman, to the team, as you know, for our residents, traffic calming is, I hear about it every meeting I go to, I get tagged about it online, I get calls in my office. Can you show me, and maybe I'm missing it, where are speed tables in this booklet?
Through the Chairman and Councilman, good question. So if you go under Road and Bridge bonds, which is page 3, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines down, there's a line item called Cleveland Moves Program. So what we did is we created a new category, and this was, it's been a long time ago, but back in April, we did review this list with council, but we created a new category because they just finished the Cleveland Moves study and plan, and so this year, Cleveland Moves was proposed to be funded with $1 million for anything from, you know, quick builds to speed tables to anything that they need to implement the Cleveland Moves plan. So that's where it's at. Now, it's not highlighted, which means it's being proposed to be rolled into next year's CIP, but it is in the list and is what was proposed in April.
Okay, thank you. So, Chair to the Director, in layman's terms for residents watching, will there be capital-funded speed tables deployed in the city of Cleveland next year?
Through the Chairman and Councilman, my understanding is yes, but it's not my office that's making those decisions.
Okay.
I would assume that we would continue with the program that we're on, but the mobility team and city planning are the ones that are making those decisions, but my assumption is yes.
Okay, and through the Chair to the Director, but is it your shop, though, that installs them, or is it a mix between you and streets? How does that work?
Through the Councilman, or through the Chairman and the Councilman, yeah, a combination of MOCAP's contractors, my department's contractors, and Division of Streets.
Okay.
So it really depends on where and what type of improvement. Currently, we haven't done any speed tables through capital projects. They've all been through streets, but not to say in the future they couldn't be through our contractors.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll just make an anecdotal comment. You know, there's elections going on right now. One of the byproducts of that is you get a lot of good feedback from residents because you're kind of, you know, in the ecosystem, right? And I'm not campaigning for anything, but I live in my neighborhood, right? So I hear it. And I'll say one of the big pieces I'm hearing is residents want to see the speed and want to see the traffic calming program sped up. They want to see more speed tables. And I'm hearing that, a lot of feedback. And as we know in this business, when candidates start chirping on an issue, it's because they're hearing it at doors, right? So I just hope that as we move forward, I won't be at this table, but he can't get rid of me. I will be in the city of Cleveland living as a resident. So I continue to care about these issues very much. And so I hope that we really get serious and, you know, we've done a lot of really great work with mobility at the city. How do we, you know, really expedite that and get these darn speed tables out there on these streets where residents are calling us because people are doing 60 miles an hour and their babies are playing in their front yard or trying to cross the street. I mean, we know the stories, right? So I just hope as we look at our capital project, I'm going to be putting some funds into speed tables, trying to drain my accounts before I leave. But I'm thinking holistically as a city, how do we really invest in this stuff? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one at this table that hears about speeding cars and their community meetings. So thank you, Chair.
And if I could just say, it's a very important issue for the mayor. I have no doubt that we're going to continue to work better and better with city planning. We have a mobility task force that meets every single Monday. We talk about how to implement what's in Cleveland Moves, and as a city, we're going to get more efficient in actually rolling out these programs.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask if you guys can make sure that you talk with Councilman Bishop as part of our operational hearings that we're about to ramp up, so that we could talk about the decision-making around those tables, because I know that there's sometimes disagreements between the mobility team and what they're recommending versus what council is recommending. And we always do have to have some kind of algorithm or some kind of process, because we know that we cannot, unbeknownst to the residents, I hope all of them are listening right now, we cannot put speed tables on every single street. So it's going to be important to make sure that we understand the process, the priority, and how council is a part of that process. Because many of us are using our discretionary dollars, and pretty much our discretionary dollars are going to the areas that there may be some disagreement with the administration on vehicle counts and other things, but we still believe as a neighborhood that they might need to go. Like, for example, one of the criteria that I've been trying to focus on is anywhere around schools, to make sure that schools and areas around schools are starting out to be the priority. So schools, parks, playgrounds, places where we know children and families go. So really need to make sure that we have a clear understanding to understand the priorities. So when we're going to talk with our constituents, they know that we don't just arbitrarily make a decision on you get a speed table, you get a speed table, you don't. Because that's where it creates a little confusion, okay? So if you can make sure you run that past Councilman Bishop and make sure that everybody understands the cost, because they cost between $8,000 to $15,000, if I understand, and we want to make sure that we articulate that to our public on why this is being done. Also, in addition, two things I want to make sure, look at how the speed tables are being deployed now. I know EMS had a problem because they were concerned about why they're transporting people, so where we might need to avoid speed tables in certain places, as well as how you guys are trying to stagger them in certain places so that it's ways for the EMS truck to kind of snake around. So, you know, really want to try to make sure we roll up our sleeves, and because that's, to be honest with you, the top 5 issue that we get now is people want speed tables on every street. And, you know, we just got to have a criteria, okay? All right. Councilwoman Santana, Polensek, Conwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just on that note, as I was thinking, I know that speed tables are different now, the way that they're putting them down. They're doing the asphalt. So isn't there, to the chair, to the director, a different price now for, I don't know, the rubber ones versus the asphalt ones?
So through the chair and councilwoman, there are different pricing, but to be honest, it's Director Wurzman that's really the point person on the price and the different styles of speed tables and where they might work best. I can get you that information.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I was just thinking about it while they're talking about it. Through the chair. So first of all, thank you everyone who was involved in this spreadsheet. Who created this? Was this our council staff?
Through the chair to the committee, it was a joint effort, but this is the CIP list, mostly headed by MOCAP. It was run through our bond council. So bond council did the calculations and made sure that we could borrow for all these projects.
Got it. And then through the chair, these were projects submitted by council and administration, correct?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is too much to ask, but just as I'm thinking like strategy for next year, would it be too much to ask if we could break this down like through categories like safety, rec centers, parks, like different categories, and maybe per neighborhood, so we could kind of see, map out all these projects? I would like to visually see, make sure that every neighborhood is being touched and we're investing all across our city.
Is that possible to do, Director?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, so I would like to point out that these are broken up for the 5 pieces of legislation at a high level. So the first page is for recreation.
Oh, I see it, okay.
Yeah, and
Missed
then you
that
have
one.
road and bridges.
Got it, okay, I'm sorry, it's so small that, okay.
So that's through the chairman, so these are by type of bond, and that's how you have the ordinances are by type of bond.
Okay.
And that's a requirement that bond council will make sure that we follow. But I would like to say, we do have, so back in April when we presented this to city council, we did map out where the proposed improvements are around the city, and I can share that with city council, because we did a GIS map just to show from the roads, the parks, the facilities, where everything is in the city. And it is a nice, representation of improvements throughout the city.
Good, if you could share that with me, Director. And then, last but not least, through the chair, I just put in with my NEF dollars for security cameras in the park, and it was about $250,000 just for one park. I'm just curious to know, it says citywide park security cameras, $250,000, doesn't seem like it's a lot. Is that just one area?
So, through the chairman and the councilman, the 250, you're right, it's not a tremendous amount of money, but it originally was going to be matched by another 250 from public safety. But currently, it's only the MOCAP money that's coming into that pot of money. And we do work with our site development team that renovates parks, and then try to use that money for parks that are getting renovated that need the security cameras. Originally, the idea was public safety would match it, and then they would identify locations throughout the city. Maybe there's no improvements, but they just need a safety presence. But we have a little bit less money to work with than we originally thought.
Thank you. And just back to your comment, Mr. President, you know how we get the NEF dollars, and then we do our own projects based on what residents give us a call. Security cameras is something that we constantly get a call for. So I guess I'm trying to think strategically, like if we're already investing with the NEF dollars, how do we match these bond dollars to, kind of leverage and align with the projects that we are doing in our neighborhood? So I guess I'm thinking that way, because if 300,000 of our NEF dollars are going to security cameras, is it cheaper if you buy them by bundles in a larger quantity?
Through the chairman and the councilwoman, so the city has a contract with a company that does all of our security cameras at all the parks and facilities throughout our system, so that they're all in one system and they can talk to each other. So there would be no cost savings, but I think you're thinking about this in the right way, where your NEF dollars are ways that you can fund projects that maybe didn't make it on our particular list of a citywide, focus maybe, but it's a way for you to focus on areas that are really important to your neighborhood. And sometimes we capture those too. So the improvements here in Trent Park or Terminal Park, like those are neighborhood, those came from, you as council members. But sometimes there's things that just aren't on our list, and that's how you could use the NEF funds, like the security camera funding.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it, because sometimes the amount that we get is not enough for a project, right? And it's like we're just spreading this very thin peanut butter all, and with such huge needs. So I guess I'm thinking about how do we make our money go further in our neighborhood. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Just before I go to Councilman Polensek and Councilman Conwell, just a reminder to everyone before I forget, any requests for your capital improvement requests need to be in to Ms. Saban to make sure that they're for delivery to Director DeRosa by September the 30th. We've been saying it for the last month. I know that a couple of us, I'll be the first to say I'm a little bit behind, but I really want you guys to make whatever recommendations you have need to be in by the 30th so that they can try to put the CIP plan together. We're going to make sure that your chair and Ms. Saban. Ms. Saban is running point, so Ms. Brooke Saban and Councilman Kevin Bishop. Councilman Kevin Bishop is the chair of Public Works. Ms. Saban works closely with him to make sure that she staffs that committee, and them two will make sure that your requests get put into Public Works by September the 30th.
Can I add something?
Please.
Just as my mind is just going. So I guess I'm thinking council members could submit their projects, right? But this is something that I suffer with. The administration, do they have the overall vision for the city and align it with city council's projects? 'Cause it seems like we're just submitting these projects, but how do we know if they're helping move our community forward, like our, you know what I mean, our city forward? Do we just add them on the list and based on what council members and administration wants, we get them done? Or is there like a strategy behind that?
Councilman, great question to the chairman. So there's a couple things going on here. One, it's all of our job to make sure that we have a joint vision for the city. And sometimes projects that a particular council person puts forward or the administration puts forward really doesn't rise to the level of this, what's really a small list with all the needs that we have in our city. But we have some great guiding principles. One is we have the Park and Rec Master Plan, which we recently finished, which really guides us into certain parts of town that don't have good Park and Rec resources. It's an equity basis instead of just a worst first basis. And to be honest, that's why Terminal and Trent Park made the list this year, because those are areas that have needs for park improvements. We all have needs for park improvements, but it's an area that doesn't have a lot of, your ward in particular does not have a lot of park space. But then there's the road and bridge bonds, those majority of which are programs that we offer each year, like the sidewalk programs, the 50/50 sidewalk program, the tree damage sidewalk program, residential resurfacing, as well as a lot of roadway projects where we have money coming in from ODOT, from NOACA, from other sources, and it's programmed in that year. And then we have facility money, which could be, the Salt Dome, it could be City Hall, it could be Public Auditorium across the way. And those are really based on critical needs based upon the condition of the infrastructure. So it's really, but that being said, it's really on all of us to say, hey, we have an area of the city that really needs work. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we can do something in that area of the city. There's no current updated city plan, but city planning is about to embark upon that, I believe in 2026, and that's going to be really the new guiding principle once that overall city plan is finished.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
My dream is to have like an overall 10-year master plan for the
Yes.
city of Cleveland and every ward included, so.
Yes, and Director Emergent, she'll be starting that, I believe, in 2026, and it'll be really robust, and it'll handle the whole city.
Got it, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, why don't we do a 3 to 5 year plan like we used to? Didn't we used to do that exactly like Councilwoman is talking about?
We do have a 3-year capital improvement plan, and that was what was presented back in April. So we did a 1-year and a 3-year.
Okay.
We're working towards a 5-year, but all we're talking about right now is just the 1 year.
Okay.
Because we're looking at implementing, but we do have a 3-year.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can bring that back on Monday with
That'd be great.
legislation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Michael Palencia.
Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, and to the directors, I'll follow up, dovetail on Council President and then on Jasmine Santana. We are, all members of the body, are bombarded with the speed table requests. I think I have like 24 at least, maybe more. But I have recommended and have urged the administration repeatedly, when you're doing street resurfacing, to automatically install the speed table. Because you're looking at maybe about, maybe 2 square yards of asphalt. And that would be the most efficient and effective way to do it, is when you're resurfacing a street. This way you don't have to come in back after the fact. So again, I want to continue to say this, that when you are resurfacing streets where they can be installed, it's a no-brainer. You do it. You just do it. It's something that the council person should not have to worry about after the fact through the chair. I mean, to me, there's got to be some common sense here. And that's a very efficient and effective way to do it when you're doing, right out of the gate, doing the street resurfacing. Number two, with regard to going back to Councilwoman Santana's question, I've also believed that it should not be the responsibility of the individual ward councilman to fund safety and security cameras. I just funded 15 cameras for $500,000 plus. $500,000 plus. That should be part of capital. Safety and security knows no border, knows no ward border. And so when we're asked to fund these individual projects, we've got to come up with a better approach to fund the camera system. I have to tell you that as Chair of Public Safety, cameras work. We know they work. And that's why I funded additional cameras, but it should not be the responsibility of individual ward council people to fund that. That should be a city capital item. Just like we repair bridges and main roads, the same thing, but should be the safety and security cameras. So that being said, going back to the question of Councilwoman Santana, the citywide park security camera program, you have here 250, that would be for next year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the WAM, the 2.5 million at the end of that?
Through the chair of the council, that's a calculation done by bond counsel, so that's the weighted average maturity. So that needs to be included to, specify it's actually a required metric that we need to provide.
So you're saying over the course of the bond, that's what the cost would be?
Through the chair to the councilman, not exactly. The weighted average maturity, if you actually just take the requested amount, that's actually what the cost will be, and you multiply it by the maturity. That gives you the weighted average maturity.
Okay.
It's a bond calculation. Admittedly, we could have made this a lot simpler by just leaving it out.
Yeah, you could.
But this was the exact, we wanted to provide the exact CIP sheet that was sent to bond counsel for your review.
Appreciate that. So again, the items in yellow are the ones that will be getting done now between now and whenever. And then the ones that are not yellow, those will be the ones set for next year.
So through the chair to the councilman, just to clarify, the ones in yellow will be ones that we expect to have contracts executed for this year.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll break ground, but we'll at least execute the contracts. And Ohio state law says we have to have the funding when we execute the contract, so we actually have the cash. Now, keep in mind that there will be a quick turnaround on the ones that are not highlighted, because we're going to come back in 3 months, 4 months in January with the CIP and ask for formal approval, which is part of the new process.
Okay. And again, through the chair, I want to thank the chairman of the committee as well, Councilman Bishop, for his due diligence, and staff as well for what they're trying to do, along with the administration, trying to jumpstart much-needed projects, especially on city facilities and buildings. But on the second page, the 50 CWD streets. Explain that one to me, the EC share. Just explain that one. The top line.
Sure. So through the chair and the councilman, so this is on page 3 for folks. The first line, 50/50 CWD streets. So when water replaces a water line in a street,
right,
they're not required to go curb to curb.
I know that.
So the agreement that we have between water and MOCAP, Capital Projects, is that we put in the other half of the cost so that the whole street curb to curb gets resurfaced, so that you don't just have to strip down the one portion of the street where water replaces.
Okay, but Mr. Chairman, to the director, why? Water's ripping up the street. Then why aren't they just responsible to pay curb to curb?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if it's policy, but the requirement is that they go to the center line, I believe. I believe if their line is in the center of the street, and then they have to go curb to curb. But if the line is on one side of the street, you're only required to do that side of the street. And what they do is they give us a forecast a year before to say, hey, these are the streets we're gonna do. We do the engineering to figure out how much
Okay.
to do the full street.
Okay, but I think you, to my colleagues, again, especially those on the Utilities Committee, that's a policy decision. There's nothing in a charter that says that.
Through the chairman, councilman, not to my knowledge, but
Okay,
you know.
well, I don't believe there is. If there is, you need to show it to me. So what I'm saying to the chair, that's a policy decision that should be corrected where water should repair that. They're opening the roadway. They are opening the roadway. So the reason I'm saying it because we know how scarce these dollars are, especially through general fund and bond fund. So again, I want to just advocate through the chairman of the Utilities Committee. I think this is something we need to talk about internally, is that when they're putting in a new water line, that should be the responsibility of curb to curb by the Division of Water to make that repair. The other question is the 50/50 sidewalk program. So you're setting aside $250 next year. Here's the challenge that we have. The money's gone already. There's nothing to stop us in the council from putting general fund dollars in the 50/50 program, correct?
Through the chairman, councilman, that's correct.
Okay, so then come budget time, my brothers and sisters here, we've got to figure out if we really want to see some improvements on some of these streets, we're going to have to put some additional general fund dollars in these programs. Because if not, because where you have citizens who are willing to pay to enhance and improve their street, their own property, I think we need to make sure that that we can cover the entire cost of whatever that dollar amount is. So I believe it was, what, $350 this year?
Through the chairman, councilman, I can't recall.
I think it was around that figure.
I think it was because we were having some issues getting the program reconstituted off the ground.
So
now
we
we're
need,
going full steam.
so I'm going to raise that, especially to the chair of the Public Works Committee. We've got to figure out collectively, we need to put more general fund monies in the sidewalk repair. And then the question is this new process of grinding sidewalks. Is that in here somewhere?
Mr. Chairman, it is, through the chairman and councilman, it is, except that the, on the spreadsheet from bond council, they, there's an error in there. It says 2025, 4 lines down, 2025 tree damages sidewalk recovery. Now, the tree damage sidewalk recovery program, if you recall, councilman, council set aside money through the general fund.
Right.
We bid it out. It's now underway in 2 wards. It'll be finished the whole citywide next year. But, so that does not need any additional funding, so that line is sidewalk leveling, $4 million. It just has a typo in the words that was
So
there.
sure, you're not going to replace sidewalks, you're just going to grind them.
That's part, through the chairman and the councilman, that's part of our portfolio of our tools in the tool belt, if you will. Yes, grinding. But we also do replacements.
Okay.
And that's the tree damage sidewalk program.
Right. I just want to make sure that these critical areas that we're, as we go through this planning process, that we want to make sure that we have adequate funding. So again, if we have to take, we have to direct funds, general fund dollars, or funds that are sitting in the rainy day fund or whatever it may be, because we're not talking a whole lot, but we've got to make sure we have adequate funding where we have citizens who are stepping up to the plate, or we have other initiatives, again, like safety and security cameras. To me, that's critical. That's critical. We can't ignore stuff like that. And so I just want to make sure as we go forward that the council and the administration are on the same page.
And through the chairman and the councilman, that fits squarely with what the Department of Aging is working on with the Age Friendly Cleveland initiative that's rolling out.
Right.
So it's very important to the mayor, and we understand the need for
To have
sidewalk.
adequate funding in these areas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Just on Councilman Polensic's note, I'd be more than happy to have the conversation about street resurfacing, but the water department's not a MOCAP, and we don't do street resurfacing. We just fix what we break. And I'm not sure our customers would want to start having their bills go toward street resurfacing. Mr. Chairman, to the director, just on page 1, I know that this administration loves to come up with fancy titles, but the Glow Up program, which looks like it's just a bunch of paint, will you be able to provide us with what rec centers are going to be repainted or whatever you're going to glow up with the rec centers?
Through the chairman and the councilman, absolutely. We're working on a list of how this first $500,000 will be spent, and our intention is that something will be done at all the rec centers, and that it would be a multi-year program to just address the basic needs in the rec center and make it hospitable for people to walk into.
Okay. And then on page 2, under public facilities, the $2 million for the police headquarters, that's for the new police headquarters, correct? That's not for the current, that's not for the space that we're renting currently, is it?
Through the chairman and the councilman, no, this is for the new police headquarters. This is the final $2 million. There was always several million that was outside of the developer's purview of things that we needed to fund. This is the final $2 million to fund that project.
And then, thank you. And then, Mr. Chairman, to the director, I remember, I think it was about a year ago, or the last time we went over capital repairs, the 3rd District wanted $50,000 to upgrade a kitchen. And now I see and I remember having the discussion about the $50,000. Now it's $2 million. And how does that coincide with the legislation that we just passed to upgrade all of the police stations?
Through the chairman and the councilman, Eagle Eyes. So Director Barrett mentioned that he wanted to give you the exact spreadsheet from the bond council. The 2 errors that you've now both discovered is the sidewalk leveling on the first page, and then it's only $50,000 for 3rd District Police Station, not $2 million. So when I come to you on Monday with my legislation, there's spend legislation related to capital projects. You'll have a revised spreadsheet that'll drop that $2 million down to $50,000, because basically we're saying that anything that's not highlighted is on next year's capital improvement plan plus additional projects, right? But I don't want council to think that there's a $2 million ask related to 3rd District.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the director, on this packet that you gave us today, how many other projects, I don't want to use the term overinflated, are incorrect in the ask? I don't even want to say incorrect, but just as you pointed out, we know it's $50,000, but it says $2 million here. How many other projects fall in that same category on this list?
Through the chairman and the councilman, that is the only numerical error. That's the only numerical error, and I think even in project descriptions, there might be one additional project name that's wrong, but that's the only numerical error.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Dirk?
Through the chair to the councilman, I just want to point out that these adjustments that we made are not highlighted projects, so it doesn't affect this is just the bond.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then, Mr. Chairman, to the director, and I think Councilman Polensek touched on this, but the tree damage sidewalks, how far behind are we in the TDS program?
So the TDS program, we are, through the chairman and the councilman, we're finishing last year's streets now, and so this year's streets will be done next year. And then, so we're on the next year's cycle that we intended to be on for tree damage sidewalks. And then the tree damage sidewalk recovery program, I mentioned that there's 2 wards that are underway now, and the remaining wards, however you count them next year, will be finished next year. So it was a 2-year contract, and they are underway.
All right, and then, Mr. Chairman, to the director on page 3, the street resurfacing, that's the $8 million that council requested during the budget hearings?
Through the chairman, to the councilman, it is. So we've obviously spent that money, so this is to recover what was spent.
Okay, and then the last thing is on the vehicle acquisitions. can we get a list of what vehicles? I mean, here it just says light trucks and vehicles, it just says fire trucks and street sweepers, how many fire trucks, how many, can we get a breakdown of the vehicles that are being purchased?
Through the chair of the council, yes. So on Monday, when I'm at council with legislation, the list of vehicles for both light and heavy are actually in the legislation.
Okay.
So it'll very specifically say exactly what kind of vehicles and equipment.
And then my last question, Mr. Chairman, to the director is, in the vehicle acquisition, are any of those vehicles, and you may or may not know now, coming from enterprise departments that the administration is covering for either the airport, the port, or utilities, or any enterprise funds?
Through the chairman of the council, no, my understanding is, and I'll confirm, I don't have the list right here, but
Okay.
this is all general fund related.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Councilman Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through the chair to the director, the police headquarters. So what is the police headquarters, what is that going to cost us in total? Do we have a total cost that the police headquarters is going to cost us at this point?
So, Mr. Chairman, the contract with the developer is at $90 million, so guaranteed maximum price of $90 million. There are consulting fees that went into it, and then there's items like IT that the city's responsible for purchasing. There's public art that the city's responsible for that are outside of the security system, things that are outside of what the developer's providing. So I don't have that full number for you right off the top of my head, but the guaranteed maximum price with the developer is the $90 million that we went through council with.
Okay, so through the chair, so what you're saying is that we can pay the developer $90 million and still incur another $10 million for other items that the developer doesn't cover? Is that what you're saying, Director, through the chair?
Through the chair and the councilman, so the legislation that went through city council for the $90 million was specific for that development project and the fact that the property would be turned over when the certificate of occupancy is issued to the city of Cleveland. So that's what the $90 million relates to. But there are additional costs that the city had to take on to manage that project, if you will. And so, yes, those are on top of the $90 million, but those funds do not go to the developer. They'd be for purchasing items or consulting costs relating to the project.
Okay, so through the chair, so when are we going to get a snapshot of the total cost? Are we going to get that sometime soon, or are we still trying to get this project sought through?
Mr. Chairman and Councilman, I believe we have one more construction contract that's about to be put out that's under that $90 million. But otherwise, we're in good shape. We can provide information to council. We haven't had that request from council, but I'm happy to provide that to council.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 673-2020. Oh, Councilman Anthony Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quickly, thank you, Director, to the Chair for updating the TDS. That's one of my questions. We're working with that process. So you're saying that the last year's streets will be finished up this year, correct?
Last year's, we're getting done this year, yes, sir.
This year. All right, thank you. The equipment, you say you have a list for us, vehicles and equipment. Does any of these ordinances allow for purchase equipment used from the departments like Public Works or one of the other departments who utilizes special equipment?
Through the chairman and councilman, so yes, so how it works is that we receive a list from DMV on what vehicles are needed citywide for the general fund departments. So that includes, streets or whoever else might need equipment, so parks maintenance.
So some of the park, through the chair, some of the park maintenance equipment will be part of this bond funds as well.
Through the chair and the councilman, yes, although I don't remember each specific vehicle, but they provide a list to us. We don't specify, capital projects doesn't specify, have a certain number of these, but it includes the public safety vehicles as well. And we're trying to get into a routine of purchasing before things fail, and really get into a routine of having a certain amount of vehicle purchases each year, so that we're not just in a constant failure mode. And so since the administration came in, we've really been focused on systematically replacing vehicles. We have a long backlog, but we're really getting into that systematic replacement.
Gotcha. Now, what about just to the chair for, let's say, vacant properties that they need, or streets that need equipment, whether it's street sweepers, whether it is other equipment needed to plow sidewalks or cut down, forestry, cut down tree limbs. Is any of that type of equipment also a part of the capital bonds? The bonds here?
Through the chairman and councilman, so if the equipment has a useful life of 10 years or more, it qualifies for bond proceeds. When we're here on Monday, I believe the commissioner of DMV is going to be here to speak to those. There's two pieces of legislation. One, extend legislation for the heavy vehicles, and one for the light vehicles. And so he can speak more to his intake process and how he understands the needs of the different departments.
Sure, thank you. Last two questions. The rec center blow-up program, do you have a listing of the rec centers and the improvements that we should expect?
Through the chairman and councilman, we're working on that list right now, but we do anticipate that there would be improvements at all the rec centers. Not fixing everything at all of them with just $500,000, but that all rec centers would see an improvement. But I'll check with my team to see if we have an actual list finalized yet, but we will have that.
Okay. And you make sure that the body is that, once your team finalized. Again, it's not highlighted, so it's probably something that's in the process. Which is understandable. Last thing, you're not talking about Court Road Park at 140th and St. Clair. 140th and Court Road at St. Clair. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse, by the day. And again, I don't see Court Road Park on this list. I've submitted that. I'm going to submit it again this year. Parks across the city. And Court Road is really one of the last community parks that I have yet to see a real significant number in terms of investment at this playground park. That would be more utilized if we would just invest some dollars into the park. Part of me, I was considering using some discretionary dollars, right? But the amount of money that it would take to really redo this park, the council doesn't have enough discretionary dollars per ward to really make an impact at this park. Again, I'm asking you all, right? I'm going to push you all to really get Court Road Park on the list because it is very much needed. The residents in that neighborhood have been asking, even before my time, my serving here as councilman in Ward 10, to really focus on Court Road Park. And it's a parking on the Court Road side. We have a number of city-owned vacant lots. We can easily add parking to access Court Road Park. There's absolutely no parking. Posted parking on both sides of St. Clair, which is not allowed. The parking on the side streets, along the sidewalks, and so it really just becomes a mess. It becomes a hazard and a safety concern. Just take a ride by it. Look at it. Look at the rusted and broken play equipment that's there. Right? It's just really unsafe for kids and families to use the inside of the park. The last thing that was done there is alumni group of Hollywood and myself. We cut down some overhanging trees and covered and painted over the graffiti that was on the walls of the basketball court. We did that. And that green wall is still there. There's nothing else that has taken place in that park since that time. And so, you know this, you and I talked about this many times over, so I'm going to be recently in the Court Road Park again, and hopefully this time we'll be added to the list, all right? Those are my comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And once again, I think that the councilman's request, I'm pretty sure he probably had that in his September 30th. So we want to make sure that we see what, and if there is not a justification, we need to know why, okay? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 673-2025 stands approved as amended. I want to remind everyone, if I could, that we kind of beat this ordinance up pretty good with the first round. The next four pieces are the same ordinance, just broken down into individual categories. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is because we don't need to go through the same exhaustive questions, because all of the questions that you ask pretty much apply to these next three pieces of legislation too. Am I correct, Director?
Sure, next four pieces.
Next four pieces. Okay, so that being said, just keep that in mind if you got any cleanup questions, but we pretty much asked an extensive amount of questions with these, okay? All right, next one is ordinance number 675-2025 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $8.5 million for the purpose of providing funds to acquire heavy-duty trucks and equipment for performing functions of the city's Department of Public Works and Department of Public Safety, including the Division of Fire, and authorizing related matters. Director, and let me read the amendment. The amendment is as follows. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in Title 1, Line 3, in the first whereas clause, Line 2, and Section 1, Line 2, strike $8.5 million and insert $2 million in all three places. Number 2, in the second whereas clause, Line 5, strike 675-2025-A and insert 675-2025B. Number 3, in Section 2, second paragraph, Line 6, strike 6% and insert 6.5%, and in Line 9, strike December 1, 2025 and insert June 1, 2026, and in the third paragraph, Line 6, strike 2027 and insert 2028. Number 4, in Section 2, at A, mandatory sinking fund redemption, second paragraph, Line 2, strike the Huntington National Bank and insert Argent Institutional Trust Company as successor to the Huntington National Bank. Number 5, in Section 9, Line 3, strike $8.5 million and insert $2 million. And in A, Line 2, strike 5% and insert 6%. And in C, Line 8, strike 10 and insert 9A. This is dated 9/9/2025 by Deborah Rossman, Assistant Director of Law. Directors.
Through the chair to the committee, so this is essentially the same. The amendments are the same other than the amount for the same reasons. This legislation is specifically for heavy-duty trucks as opposed to the light vehicles for the one you just approved.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. What's the, I didn't call on. I didn't have a question.
You said you didn't hear just asking, did your committee approve this?
No, this is the ones for to go to the finance, correct? So, yeah, my committee that gets the other version, right? Okay.
All right, got you. Thank you, Councilman, for that clarification. All right, so, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 675-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Next one is ordinance number 676-2025 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $12 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve municipal parks and recreation facilities and authorizing related matters. The amendment is as follows. You know what? I'm going to chalk this one up to the amendment on your tablets because it's a pretty lengthy amendment, but please look at the amendments on your tablets if you have any questions on the amendments. Are there any questions regarding 676-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 676-2025 as amended stands approved. 1 second. All right, next one is ordinance number 677-2025 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $25.5 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve buildings and structures and providing for the discharge of governmental functions and services otherwise benefiting the public safety, health, and welfare, and for the provision of necessary fixtures, furnishings, equipment, technology, appurtenances, utilities, and site improvements for the purpose of authorizing related matters. Director?
Yeah, through the chair to the committee, so essentially the same amendments as 673, 2025. Now we're just doing it for public facilities.
Gotcha. So once again, the amendments are on your tablet. Ordinance number 677-2025 as amended stands approved. Seeing no questions, please sign on. All right, next is ordinance number 678-2025 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $28 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve the municipal street system and related facilities and authorizing related matters. Once again, these are already amended. These amendments are on your tablets, so we don't need to read them again. Director, did you have any comments?
Through the chair to the committee, same amendments. This is just for roads and bridges.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 678-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. The next ordinance is resolution number 1098-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency resolution requesting the county fiscal officer to make advances during the year 2026 pursuant to section 321.34 Ohio Revised Codes. Director?
Through the chair to the committee, so this is annual legislation that we bring to you every year. This is just for approval to receive property taxes from the county for 2026. As you know, those are paid semi-annually, so we'll get two payments, two big payments next year along with some straggling funds. But this is routine, just so that we can accept our property taxes.
Yes, okay, so I believe that is, that this is good to go. Any questions regarding ordinance number, resolution number 1098-2025? Good to go. So seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1098-2025 stands approved. And resolution number 1099-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer. Director.
Through the chair to the committee, so this is similar to the 1098, only this accepts the rates from the county. So the rate has not changed in terms of the millage for several years. So again, annual legislation that basically hasn't changed since last year, just to accept the rate.
Great, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1099-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. And then I believe there is one more ordinance that you have. Is this yours or is this Human Resources? 1169-2025. Is this, this might be classification. So we have personnel, Human Resources here. Come on up. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, this is ordinance number 1169-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance to amend sections 4, 5, 6, 30 to 41, 43, and 45 of ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29, 2021 as amended by various ordinances relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Good afternoon. To the committee through the...
Please speak in the mic so that everybody can hear you, listening audience as well. You're on Candy Camera.
Good afternoon to the committee through the chair. This is legislation to update the pay bands in conformance with the legislation, in conformance with the ordinance 189.02A1, which is the Fair Employment Wage Ordinance, which would increase the the minimum wage of the city from $15.85 to $16.26 based on the standard that's in the ordinance of the Consumer Price Index, which increased 2.6%.
Outstanding. And we have one of our illustrious board members here today. If he would join us at the table, the Bishop Eugene Ward. If he can join us at the table. Bishop, did you have any comments? This is the work of the board that we actually recommissioned and put in place for the first time in approximately 25, 30 years. And Bishop is now, I believe, chairing that board?
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. Bishop, do you have any comments?
On Mr. Chairman, to the rest of the council, as well as to the director, I would just like to say that I just came out of a meeting with OEO, try to make sure that we are able to be in compliance, not only as a board, but through our city. And I am thankful for the work that you all are doing, and to hear this report today gives me an even greater encouragement. The only thing that I would really like to emphasize to all of you is that we do more to make sure that the media in this city is making sure that what we are trying to do is reported throughout the city, so that those who are deprived and in despair and can become middle-class workers and owners in this city can be aware of this Fair Employment Wage Board and the work we are trying to do, sir.
Thank you. And I know that he's not here right now, but Councilman Danny Kelly has been very active and really pushing for a lot of workers' rights issues around this. So once again, Bishop, I'm glad you're saying it, and I hope you guys can articulate that as well, too, because oftentimes people don't recognize what council's doing to help everyday working class people in the city of Cleveland, and quite frankly, poor people. So we need to make sure that everybody realizes that these are the type of policies and steps that we've taken to do that. So thank you, sir. Okay, any other questions regarding this ordinance, ordinance 1169-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1169-2025 will be heard for consideration for the entire council this evening. Thank you so much, everybody. We do have a couple of council ordinances, and the first one that I would share is one by Councilman Hairston and myself. This is ordinance number 1079-2025 by Council members Griffin and Hairston. This is an emergency ordinance to amend Section 1 of ordinance number 250-2025, passed March 3rd, 2025, exempting certain property parcels from tax abatement policies under ordinance 482-2022, passed May 25, 2022, as amended by ordinance number 719-2024, passed March 24, 2025, relating to community reinvestment area. Let me explain this very briefly. This is the area that borders East Cleveland and Cleveland, that is actually in Ward 6. And what we're doing is adding 3 parcels to the opportunity areas to make so that they can be part of the community reinvestment areas, where they will be able to qualify for 100% tax abatement. It's an economic developing destitute area. It's the area right at Penrose, Brightwood, right at the border of East Cleveland and Cleveland, Ohio. And anybody that's ridden or driven over there knows that it's a pretty challenging area right there. So what this is able to do is allow us to add development there. And the amendment, I will read them into the record. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in the second whereas, line 4, after 33-077, insert, in addition, 2 adjacent permanent parcel numbers were created due to lot split and consolidation, 120-33-079 and 120-33-080. Number 2, in the third whereas clause, line 1, strike number 120-33-077 and insert numbers 120-33-077, 120-33-079, and 120-33-080. In line 3, strike this and insert these, and in line 4, strike parcel and insert parcels. Number 3, in section 1, at amended section 1, in lines 3 and 4, strike 75 strike 74, 5, and insert 77, and in line 6, after 120-1-33-077, insert 120-33-079, 120-33-080. Once again, this was done by our law department. These are amendments being made so that these properties can be a part of the community reinvestment area that we are doing right there at the corner of East Cleveland and Cleveland, Ohio. Does anybody have any questions? Chairman Hairston?
Thank you, Mr. President. You summed it up. And again, this is the border of the city of Cleveland. And when the policy map was created, it just kind of inadvertently captured back half of the street that we share with Cleveland. That it's a way to get around it. And we asked for these parcels to be added to the house. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1079-2025 will be heard for consideration by the entire council tonight. Two more pieces, and we will be ready to go. One is ordinance number, already got that, so 1079 is already done. All right, last but not least, ordinance number 1085-2025 by Councilmember Griffin, an emergency ordinance authorizing the clerk of council to enter into a requirement contract without bidding. Let's see what this is. We all do need to sign it. Okay, hold on, my fault. 1 second, everybody. All right, thank you. Please sign on to 1079 as amended. This is the last piece. This is an emergency ordinance authorizing the clerk of council to enter into a requirement contract without competitive bidding with Weekly's Mailing Service, Inc. for mailing services with proprietary list for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the clerk of council. Are there any questions regarding this? This is Weekly's that basically sends our newsletters and a lot of the mailings that we send out to the community. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1085-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. That will conclude this committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This committee is called to adjourn by the chair until next week, which will be Monday, September the 29th. Thank you.